Hey everybody, I just wanted to take a couple of minutes to intro tonight's video. First of all, I want to say yes, I have lost weight. Thank you for asking and thank you for noticing. It is not due to any kind of illness. I have spent, since about February or so, I just decided enough was enough. I was tired of feeling the way I was feeling, and so I've been working pretty hard at eating better and getting some exercise, and it's just as simple as that. I started out around 230 pounds. I'm down to about 192 at the moment. So hopefully I'll be able to lose about 10 more, something like that. Maybe get into shape, maybe put back a little muscle. Who knows? We'll get in shape and I'll be feeling a lot better. But yes, I have lost quite a lot of weight and it's been a lot of hard work, but it's been worth it. I feel a lot better and I certainly look a lot better. So that out of the way, tonight's video is actually going to be sort of a little mishmash update on a few different things. None of them really constitute or are worth a video by themselves, but I do have a few things I want to point out and talk about, so it's not going to be any kind of around the world update or anything like that. It's just going to be a couple of looks at a couple little tanks. So sit back, enjoy the little update, and thanks for watching this one. Alright, first of all, ever since I redid the cave for my striped Raphael here, it just does not go in the cave anymore. I did have one viewer suggest that the striped Raphaels or even the spotted Raphaels actually like to have caves that are very sort of tight fit. They enjoy sort of being wedged into their little spaces. And if that's the case, I'm not sure why it always just lays out in the open like this, but it now just lays at this end of the tank. Occasionally, apologize for the glare. That is my waterfall tank that we're getting all that glare from. But occasionally it will get in this cave here. But that is the cave that it used to stay in. And this rock was not propped up by this rock. This rock literally just went right down to the ground, and it was a snug fit, but it spent all its time in that cave. It only came out at night or occasionally in the very late evening when I would put food in the tank. So I opened the cave up to give it more room, and it just does not go in there now. It just lays out here in the open, which I like because I get to see it now. It's a cool fish, but at the same time, I'm wondering if it wouldn't be happier if I sort of put its cave back the way it was or something. I don't know. So that is the one thing that I've been wanting to talk about and update everybody on. The other, I mentioned the other day in another video, but I wanted to confirm that I have absolutely definitely seen small blue wag platies in my waterfall tank here. And so I suspected I had one that had bred and had survived and was getting a little bit bigger but was not quite full grown. And I saw one the other day that was definitely a very small one. It was somewhere between a young adult and a fry. So absolutely the blue wag platies are in here breeding, and they are successfully surviving to adulthood in some cases. So one of these days I'll have to sit down and see if I can't do a rough head count. I want to say I started with 5, or maybe I even started with 4 and I ended up with 5, but I've definitely got more than that now. I have confirmed that we do have at least one little young one swimming around in there. I also moved my clown pleco out of the tank that the angelfish was in. If you'll remember, I moved my German blue angelfish into this tank. It still spends most of its time in the back of the tank hiding as it is now. You can just about make it out right here in the corner. And it kind of spends most of its time back there hiding, but it does come out occasionally, and when I walk in the room, it'll sort of drift back into the back corner of the tank. So as long as it's comfortable enough that it's coming out and it's swimming around and it's not just sulking in the corner all the time, then I'm okay with that. As long as it's just sort of shying away from me, then that's fine. It's, you know, it's still swimming around doing its thing. So I moved the pleco that was in that tank over into this tank. As far as yesterday, it was still doing well, though I don't see it at the moment. I also wanted to confirm I do have one tiny little lily pad starting. Well, I guess that's, I don't know if that's a lily pad or what, but it's definitely one of the leaves from that lily. I did put a second root tab in there, so hopefully the 2 root tabs. My only concern with it really is that it's a high light plant, and the only light it really gets is from a little 11-watt LED floodlight, so I don't know if that's going to be enough to really generate a lot of good growth on that one. So that's what we got going on in that tank. My next update is my 125 here, and very much in need of some maintenance. We're actually going to be shooting some video. This is one of these, like, I just don't feel like getting around to it, and the more I put it off, the worse it gets kind of situations. Just a lot of cyanobacteria, nothing to worry about. It just looks like awful. The point is that yesterday I saw the Synodontis uterus catfish that I had put in this tank not too terribly long ago, and it was getting picked on by my rainbow shark, and I was beginning to wonder if it was still in there because it had been so long since I'd seen it. And I did indeed see it in this fairly large, wide open cave, and the rainbow shark, which is currently hiding in this back corner down here right now, that was sort of just hovering in the water nearby, and it didn't seem to be bothering the catfish at all. So the catfish is still in there despite not being able to see it in this particular video. As of yesterday, it was still in there, and it had probably doubled in size, so that was getting much larger. The next thing I want to point out, in addition to the fact that this tank is now devoid of fish or animals, that's just some algae, cyanobacteria, and plants growing in this tank. So this one's ripe for the picking. All we got to do is tear it down, redo it, and then put some new fish and stuff in it. So that tank's just about ready to go whenever I get around to it. I have got so many red wag platies. I do not know where to begin thinking about what I'm going to do with all these. I mean, obviously I'm going to have to just bag a bunch of them up and take them to the fish store and get rid of them. But it's interesting. I've got one that is clearly much larger than the others. You can see right there up front. I've got a bunch of them that are about the same size, and then I have several that are really small. And for as long ago as it was that I took the parent fish out of this tank, it almost seems like there's some new fish in the tank, and that seems really kind of hard to believe that I would still be getting fish showing up that were dropped in this tank a couple of weeks ago when the adults were still in here. But anyway you slice it, I've got a ton of these little red wag platies. I haven't even tried to get a count on them or whatever, but I would say that's at least 30 or more fish in there just by having a quick glance. So let me put you on pause. We got to go in the other room for the final bit of the update, and that'll be here at my other sort of spare quarantine tank or secondary quarantine tank. Sorry for the noise in the background. We got the fan on. It's actually a very nice day out, and we're saving a little money on the air conditioning with having the fan running, so we're going to have to listen to that in the background for a moment. But my little ember tetras are still doing good. They've all survived well past a 2-week return policy sort of safety zone, so they are all still looking good. I haven't noticed any unusual behavior or spots or ick or anything like that on them. And then all of the larger fish you can see in there that are not the reddish fish are all of the little baby guppies that had gotten dropped in this tank. And I gotta say, I'm not super excited about what I'm seeing so far. I can see a few guppies that have a little bit of patterning in their tail, maybe a little bit of coloring in their tail that's going to indicate that they're going to be an attractive fish. There's one right there. It's got some orange towards its tail. But for the most part, they're not really that exciting looking. The mother was a fancy guppy female that I bought at PetSmart for, $1.99 or whatever. But it was just a female fancy guppy. It had a lot of purple in it. In fact, we've still got it in the other room. We can have a look at it at some point. But it looked to me like a purple tuxedo, but a female. But it was simply listed as fancy guppy. So I don't really know what her genetics were. The males that were in this tank were all platinum guppies. So the father pretty much had to have been a platinum guppy. And so I was really hoping I'd get some really pretty white guppies with some color in them and stuff. And I'm just not really seeing it. I'm getting a little bit of color in a few of them, but I'm not getting any of that beautiful platinum color, that vibrant white. And I'm not getting any really stark contrast, which is what I was kind of hoping for. Some really white guppies with some really bright colors on the white. and I'm not really seeing much of that. Of course, I'm far from any kind of fish breeder or guppy breeder or anything like that, so I really had no idea what to expect. And as they grow up and actually start to fill in and we can see them get larger and see their color a little more clearly, maybe they will turn out to be a few lookers in there. You never know. And once again, I'm going to have so many fish that I just don't know what to do with all of these. So unfortunately, a lot of these are probably going to end up as feeders in another tank, or I'll put them in another tank and they may end up as feeders, they may not. It'll sort of be up to them to see if they can survive. But when you're in an enclosed environment with predatory fish, it's usually only a matter of time. So again, I just sort of look at that situation as feeder fish kind of thing. Anyway, that's all that's going on, and those were the few odds and ends I wanted to update everybody on, and now I feel like we're all up to date. So thanks for watching this one. Hope you enjoyed that. Make sure you're subscribed. You never know what you're going to get with me. Thanks for watching. I'll see you real soon in the next one.